Hey, buddy.
Hey, we're face to face.
You're sitting approximately 4.5 feet away from me right now and staring at your handsome mug in the flesh. First time ever. Not the first time I've seen your handsome mug, but first IRL podcast.
Yeah, I'm glad we're finally getting a chance to give it a go, see how it works. Our setup here is a little janky. Camera's resting on the top of your bong to get
We just spent
the
two
people.
hours setting this up, and this is the best we can come up with. But yeah, we'll get into it, and hopefully some fun stuff will come out of it. Yeah, we've got a lot to talk about. We've been spending the last like 3 days together.
Or maybe we'll have nothing to talk about.
Yeah, good point. The golf was fun. The snowstorm, not so much, but
Yeah, our plans did get kind of derailed a little bit here with the bit of the snowstorm, and but I think we made the most of it. We had a fun range session in the snow. We did some sim golf with our buddies, which was a nice surprise. I wasn't sure if I was going to get to see those guys while I was here this time, so
yeah.
I think it all worked out for the best. I mean, when you consider things relatively, I also was terrible, but like we discussed while we were there, I wasn't really playing with any course management whatsoever. It's just like, oh, we're at Pebble Beach and the green's 320 yards away, pulling driver and going for it. Like, silly, but
Yeah,
it was fun.
it was fun. For
Yeah.
me, it was just being out of the element. Like I was inside in a foreign place. I couldn't get my mind wrapped around how to swing a golf club, but
Yeah. It was very
whatever.
distracting as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so today we are going to talk about a very timely and appropriate topic. Obviously, the tangerine tyrant introduced some pretty crazy fucking tariffs. So everyone on my social media is posting, like, let's buy these Canadian alternatives.
Times. The one thing I can't wrap my head around is like, what is Trump's end game here? I don't think the border is real. Us not meeting our military spending with NATO requirements is real. Like, I think at the end of the day, he's looking at what's the benefit to him. And maybe it's legitimately he thinks Canada might become the 51st state. It makes no sense to me. Like, why would we give up our sovereignty? We'll never do that. Like that will never happen. Who's going to be the prime minister in charge of Canada that willingly hands us over to the states? Like that's just not going to happen. So what when you go the thing, so his whole like art of the deal or whatever, you go into a negotiation, you ask for this, but what you really want is this. And I can't figure out what that is for him right now.
Because he's 100% delusional, and I think it's only just to gain the approval of his followers, just by making grand accusations like that would
Yeah.
get people to jump on board with, like, oh my god, the president that I voted for can make Canada join us. Like, wow, he can do that, and
Yeah.
it's total bullshit. Though it's not gonna materialize into anything.
I did see somebody saying something interesting online because there's a ton of stuff floating around about it right now,
Yeah.
obviously. But the one take that I thought was possibly the most accurate was somebody saying they saw this during his first term as well, where he immediately comes in, he signs all these executive orders, and he just like creates chaos.
Mhm.
And that's what he's out to do because for him, it paints this illusion that he has this ultimate power. Whereas in reality, like some of those executive orders have already been shut down
Yeah.
by the House or the Senate or whatever. Like they're unconstitutional, so they immediately get shut down. But what it does is creates this narrative or this feeling like he can come in and do all this stuff. And even if only half of those things stick, it what it's does it's enforced that illusion that he is powerful when in reality he's not as powerful as it seems.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
We talk about him too much, man. It's like enraging rage bait, dude. Do you know
Yeah.
economist Ben Stein?
Yes.
So he was cast in one of the greatest movies of all time, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And in that scene where he calls out Bueller, 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 the writer was like, you can talk about anything that you want here when you're teaching the class. And
Yeah.
he chose to talk about one of the most infamous times that a United States president thought that raising tariffs would be a good idea during the Great Depression.
Yeah.
And so Ben Stein in the class is like, the American government raising tariffs during the Great Depression was a anyone, a success or a failure, anyone, and just highlights how, like, what a massive failure it was and how it is every single time. Like, in economic crisis, raising the tariffs does not bolster the economy, especially for the Americans.
Yeah. So keeps going back. Like, yeah, maybe it is just delusion, insanity, lack of knowledge. Like, I just don't understand why, or even the smart people around him
Mhm.
are like, yeah, do this. Like, I don't get it, man. I don't get it. It's just gonna inflate prices even more, make things more difficult for Americans and Canadians. Like, that's another thing we didn't really talk. Like, why is he doing this to his allies, his biggest trading partners? It makes no
It's
sense.
just posturing, and because he doesn't really know what's going on, man. Like just a talking
Yeah,
head, just running his mouth. I don't think there's any brains behind the operation.
yeah. I can't help thinking sometimes that maybe that's a dangerous thought to like just think of him as stupid. I think he's clearly not stupid. I think he has his own motivations, but I can't figure out what they are
There's a
other than greed.
yeah, there's a big element of stupidity involved, though, or I guess like ignorance.
I would hope so. Maybe that's better than the alternative. That this is all like he's got
Mhm.
some scheme cooked up. But yeah,
Big evil dum dum.
yeah. Anyway, it's weird times, man.
What about some of your favorite American versus Canadian historical facts? You got any off the top of your head?
Oh, I mean, the favorite one has always got to be that we burnt down the White House, and it was originally red, and then they had to rebuild it, and it got painted white.
The
That
War of 1812
yeah,
icon.
that's by far the best.
I love that story too.
Yeah.
We weren't, I guess we weren't necessarily quite Canadians then, but some pretty,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
We collect the collective we. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. The
Well,
Canadian,
we weren't born, but
the Canadian militia under the British regime.
yeah, yeah. It's just it was a preemptor too.
Yes, we had another trade spat amongst each other back in 2018. The US imposed tariffs on Canadian steel and
Mm.
aluminum under the guise of national security. And then Canada fired back with tariffs on American products like ketchup, yogurt, and bourbon. It was the most polite trade war in history. So, right now, what's going on is like the same thing, but not polite. People are getting angry, gloves are getting thrown. Whenever Canadian identity is questioned, that's when the Canucks will rise up.
That would be great. Not that I'm a hockey fan or really care, but it is good for the local economy when the Canucks do well.
Pardon me, not a direct hockey, just
Yeah,
Canucks, like a way to refer to our
our
people.
people, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, because it was that. That was around the time when they essentially scrapped NAFTA and redid that whole trade agreement.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Dude, maple syrup exports, ka-ching, ka-ching.
I love the posts that I'm seeing from people around the world. Like I saw one just recently, um, while we were kind of doing a bit of research for this, of like somebody in the UK like had like 6 bottles of maple syrup and like, doing my part. I thought that was really funny. Somebody like in some ways disconnected from the situation, um, making that choice at the grocery stores is pretty great and pretty funny.
Dude,
As I saw some also stuff like people on there saying they're like shaking up their vacation plans, and instead of going to like Colorado, they're gonna go to Banff instead, or instead of going to Florida, they're gonna go to I don't know what our equivalent would be, but like seeing people online saying that kind of stuff is cool.
yeah. Instead of going to Cancun, I'm gonna go to Victoria, BC.
Well, Cancun is fine. We can support
Oh yeah,
Mexico.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
That's something we were talking about this morning. How it's the one positive, if it's even real, or if it's just the guise of the media. But the Canadians and extended to the Commonwealth banding together, and other countries like you were saying in the EU supporting Canada in this trade war that's got some international media headlines.
Totally. I think it's a great opportunity for us to diversify our trade portfolio, I guess you could say. Like a large chunk of our trade goes to the States. So now's maybe the time to renegotiate some of those deals with Europe, with Asia. Obviously, the Europe's in the situation where they were previously getting a lot of their oil, natural gas, whatever from Russia, and don't want to anymore. Open the floodgates. I mean, historically, I would consider myself an environmentalist. I'm in a lot of ways very like anti oil and gas, but understand the realities of troubling times, our economy, whatever, not wanting to completely shut down these industries. So let's ship it over there.
Well, dude, is it true that we are the US's biggest foreign provider of energy? So that's oil, gas, electricity, everything.
Yes, but so they supply like something like 75% of their own internally. But
Mhm.
looking at only considering like other importers, we're 60%. So we are by far their largest importer, but that's still after themselves.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But clearly all this stuff there's very like isolationist policies, which is scary in how that aligns with a lot of um the points of fascism. Like when you think about back to the Third Reich or whatever, a lot of that propaganda um, was around the nation of Germany and Germanic people, and then how that trickled into how they deal with the economy and these isolationist policies. The states is on the exact same trajectory, which from a global concern and political standpoint, I find like very troubling. But
The parallels with that
uh,
comparison in general are frightening,
yeah,
in more ways than one.
doing a little bit of research already is how many of these companies are then owned by a company that's owned by a company that just goes back to these like basically monopoly massive corporations that own fucking everything. So
Dude, absolutely. Like, and even brands that incorporate Canadian identity into their marketing are like often American owned.
yeah, like we're talking about craft dinner.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Do you know this hour has 22 minutes?
yeah,
CBC, like iconic comedy show that started back in the 80s.
yeah.
My grandpa's sister, my great aunt Mary Walsh, was like a founding member of that comedy crew.
Oh yeah,
And some of the original guys that she started it with it are still on there. And their clips lately on TikTok even have been fucking hilarious. They did this clip in the grocery store about he was following a guy around, and every product he picked off the shelf, he knocked it out of his hand, and he was like, "Heinz, you fucking, be patriotic, get French's, it's Canadian."
yeah,
And then the guy's like, "Well, I didn't know. Like, how do I know?" And he's like, "Well, if it sounds European, if it sounds French or English, it's probably Canadian."
yeah.
And like all these other funny kind of
I
rules to
actually,
that.
yeah, I
Yeah,
saw that too. Actually, that was funny. I didn't
yeah,
realize that was what it was from, but
yeah,
um, that is a good general rule. I mean, I think this is something that I try in any way before this whole thing, try and focus on where choosing where to spend my money is the whole just like shopping local idea. Um, like I know if I'm going and getting some cheese at the grocery store, we're doing a charcuterie or something, I tend to try and pick out I mean, I think there's like the Cowichan Farms, the Salt Spring Island like goat cheeses or whatever.
hmm,
Um, that's the stuff for sure. That's pretty like hyper local, I guess you could say.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but just making those good choices. I mean, obviously it's a little bit difficult right now, but in the Okanagan at least, like a lot of those smaller farm stalls are still open. I'm assuming they're selling all their own like farm goods. They're not going to be bringing in stuff from like wherever.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, trying to get those farm stalls, like shopping local. One of the things that I hope I see a transition in that's always frustrated me is like going to a big chain grocery store, especially in the Okanagan where we have, a bunch of fruit farmers, and then you see apples from New Zealand or Washington or whatever. And I'm like, what the hell? Like I know Farmer Joe up the street is struggling to sell his apples. Like, why aren't those in this grocery store that's right here? This makes no sense to me.
capitalism,
Yeah,
cheapest product. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, but still, even then, like, how is it the cheapest product to ship apples all the way from New Zealand instead of like the one that's just up the road? Like, I guess like it's supply chain things and whatever, but it makes no sense to me. And I really hope that we see a transition in terms of like what those big chain grocery stores are even bringing in as options for us. Like, I don't want to see that shit in our stores anymore,
yeah.
especially if it's coming from the States. Like, maybe, New Zealand stuff's fine, but
What a slippery slope, because grocery prices have never been so expensive, and that's something that we desperately need to see come down. So it's like it's hard to have one thing without the other. If I want cheap grocery prices and hyper local as much as possible, it's
I
like
know.
so then I'm not paying the local producers. Yeah, the whole system's fucked. So just for the time being, just no American product.
Yeah, yeah. And
But
I mean, the thing that I know I'm gonna struggle with is just because of the price of everything. I've basically been doing all my shopping at Costco, and Costco's obviously American.
dude, I went there yesterday and I had that exact same thought. But can you? What if you buy Canadian brands when you're at Costco? Or do you think Costco probably intentionally stocks American brands when they have the option.
I don't know. I mean, I know the selection's different between
Yeah.
what you get everywhere, so there probably is some more Canadian stuff in our stores, but at the end of the day, it's all still going to Costco. I mean, obviously that Canadian stuff is like making the sale to Costco and then we're buying it, but
But they probably absolutely bully their suppliers too. It's like everyone would consider getting a listing with Costco to be like a slam dunk. So Costco's offering them the lowest margin ever. Like, I bet they bully small producers.
maybe I don't know. There's
Oh, guaranteed. Yeah.
the gluten free bread
Yeah.
that I have comes from I think like Chilliwack or something.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, and I bet they make 20% when they sell it to Pepper's Market, and they make 5% when they sell it to Costco.
yeah, but then the volume.
You hope.
I mean, the volume would for sure be way higher, but yeah, but they wouldn't do it if it didn't make sense, unless it's the because it's not like Costco's the only option in the game.
Yeah, but it can make sense, and it can still be taking advantage.
Yeah,
Like they're using their buying power for evil in a lot of ways.
possibly. I don't know. Well, we don't know that for sure, but
Well, that's the Walmart model, so
yeah,
you
like
have to believe it's
Costco is like they're with
more
their
ethical.
$1.50 hot dogs and stuff. Like
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
they do
yeah.
have some. They're unionized workers.
Okay, yeah, good point, good
Um,
point. Did you know that not only do you get a 100% beef hot dog and a pop for $1.50, you get a free refill on that pop?
yeah, I mean, I'm assuming you can just keep going back. Nobody's monitoring
Yeah,
it,
but
so
they advertise it.
yeah.
Crazy.
I mean, what a the loss leader for them, right? Like,
Oh
who
my
cares
god.
about a hot dog when you have
Yeah.
people coming and spending? Like, I went in the other day and I think spent like $150 because I like just needed like not a ton of stuff, but just restocking some of the essentials. And the person at the table was like, "Oh, just a small one for you today." So it's like every person in their lineups all day long, like, and
Yeah.
$150 is a small purchase. Like,
Yeah. Oh, definitely, dude.
yeah,
Yeah.
crazy.
My Costco bills are like 400, 700, Yeah.
Yeah. When you're going and really loading up, for me, it's just down the street, and I'm not working right now, so I
Mhm.
like pop in, and I don't necessarily load up like crazy. But
More conservative. Something that I think is the craziest out of this whole tariffs and trade war that's popped up between us and our former friends down south is the BCLDB, the British Columbia Liquor Distribution Branch, who we used to work closely with, has put out a statement encouraging their buyers to not purchase specifically from Republican states, red states.
yeah,
And
and are they pulling American products off the shelves?
I think it'll be like a not reordering it, so like a phase out.
Okay,
If
because
they
I
were to,
saw some
if,
footage of what looked like a BCL of somebody literally packing it away and putting it
yeah,
in a box. So
if they were to do that, that would just hurt themselves. But not buying more of it
yeah,
makes sense. But
yeah.
I mean, I get it, and I'm on the side of the argument there, but it's still kind of so pointed and surprising from,
Specifically targeting Republican states
yeah,
is like really making a statement.
really making a statement.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, they're the ones that put the Tangerine Tyrant in on his throne, but
yeah, I guess so. It just it's so wild to think about. I was thinking about. I actually went and looked up one of the agencies that I was familiar with that I have a friend who works for, and I couldn't remember if their portfolio was like heavily American or not. And so I went and looked it up, and luckily for this person, a friend, I will consider them. That's currently a sales rep for this company. It wasn't a lot of American stuff, so I thought potentially a good opportunity for those others, right? That don't have big American portfolios, say in comparison to what would be a good example, like Breakthrough or whatever, like that have
Diageo. Yeah.
Diageo. Yeah, like that's heavily American. That would be tough for those like reps and stuff right now.
Yeah.
Purely thinking about like Canadian people that I know that then like makes this is going to make it harder for them.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Bourbon portfolios. Yeah.
yeah.
I saw someone in our circle post that they have enough bourbon for the until the next presidential election. Like, so they don't have to go out and support the bourbon economy until there's a new president. That's assuming that we still have democratic elections in the U.S. Though.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, the one thing I felt weird is like seeing people stock up on stuff before the tariffs kicked in. I was like, that's still just buying American goods, but whatever. I don't know.
Well, maybe they don't have as strong of an opinion on the matter, and they just are financially motivated.
Yeah, I guess
right?
that's what it would be.
Or,
But and like not really thinking it fully through. It's like, okay, now you went and bought, say, a whole lot of whatever the new name for
yeah,
Aunt Jemima is, right? And it's like,
Pearl Milling Company.
yeah, so you go and buy, 4 bottles of that, whereas like you should, instead of loading up on that before the price goes up, you should just be buying Canadian products.
Canadian maple syrup.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. I mean, I am such a have my cake and eat it too kind of guy. Like, I can wax poetically about how passionate I am about the nightmare that's going on in the States and how I want to support by not giving my money to their economy. But DC, as an example, Diet Cokes, you asked me, am I going to stop drinking them? No, I'm not. And let's say if I was really pinching my pennies and Diet Cokes were part of my daily regime and I knew that they were going to be 25% more expensive, I
Hmm.
might get a couple extra flats.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where I find it challenging for me is knowing, like, obviously my frustration with these like social media companies that were, their founders, CEOs, whatever, were at the inauguration and have started putting what I consider negative practices in place in terms of how they're moderating and operating their businesses, but I still go on them. We still rely on them for communication. I spend however many hours a day scrolling through them, and that's become a bit of like a moral area for me in terms of like, yeah. Because now, like, what they just own all that communication. Like, what other option do we have?
And a lot of people in my social circles have been posting alternatives for social medias. But
Oh yeah, yeah.
so, I mean, I guess you just have to stick to your morals, truly believe in the cause, go to this platform that has a fraction of the users and way
Hmm.
less content and is way less engaging, and just hold on and hope.
Yeah, maybe that's it. I
Like Blue
decided.
Sky, I checked that out, and
Yeah. And is that
yeah,
is that like a Canadian
it's
company,
a
or is it?
non-American answer to Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah,
I wasn't, and it's non-American for
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah, okay, that's what I wasn't sure of.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, then maybe, but yeah, then it's like, is it the same if all your friends aren't on it? Like, that's what
Yeah,
I care about. I
yeah,
want to see what my friends are posting.
and if the creators aren't on it that you care about either, so everyone has
Yeah,
to adopt or nobody does. I don't know.
the creators is secondary to me, as weird as that
Yeah,
is, like sitting here
because
as
they'll
being
come
kind
to
of,
where the people are.
but also that's not my reasoning. As I say, kind of weird for us sitting here as we're within the creator category right now and actively what we're doing. But I first and foremost care about the people in my actual real circle. Like, I lived in the age before social media without creators. I don't
Hmm.
need them in my life. I would happily give them up. In some ways, I think it makes things worse, which is a weird thing to say, but I more care about following along with like the people that I actively know and what they're up to. And being at the age now where like I'm not like somebody posting stuff about their kids. I'm like stoked. Like, I want to see what like my friends becoming parents and sharing the things that they're doing. I like it.
Hmm. I like that a lot too.
Yeah.
And creators are cringy, myself included. But I had this thought the other day that I think that it will continue to be a lasting form of information sharing, community building, and monetization. Like building a brand, personal or otherwise, is there's a lot of value there.
Yeah, I think people want to be able to connect with you, like understand where, like, telling your story of your business or whatever you're doing, they want to see the authenticity and integrity of what your business is all about, right? I mean,
Yeah.
especially now when you're considering this situation of maybe you're not choosing that big name product coming out of the states anymore and you're choosing something local. Like, well, okay, who is this person? What are they all about? Like, what is this company?
Yeah.
There is value there for sure. Yeah, I just wish there wasn't so many like negative connotations for it for me right now.
Yeah, well, I think that we'll soon see the complete dissolving of mainstream media. And in replace of that, which most people are already getting their news from creators that they align themselves with, the only thing missing from that perfect formula is the ultimate AI editor. But then who edits the editor? We just need that AI editor that we can trust.
That thought of like getting all of our news and whatever from just whatever creators is so scary to me. I hate that thought. That's so terrifying.
But it's better than, because then you can pick and choose and you can think
Yeah,
for
but
yourself.
there's no like repercussion or um it like almost enforced integrity. Like I think there's plenty of good options out there. You consider, say, something like the Guardian newspaper media, that's publicly funded through listeners and readers. I hold their media to a high standard and high value. I trust it. Whereas like picking some of this stuff, like now I just look at anything, whether it's a creator or somebody who like seems like they know what they're talking about. I can't help but think of it, take it all with a grain of salt.
Well,
Like,
because you've stepped in those shoes and that you've realized that we're just trying to greedily manipulate people into making us rich.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I think it's just like it's just understanding how views work in the algorithm, and it just makes me like if I don't have a reason to really believe that person, I'm choosing not to, or at least be super hesitant about the information that I'm absorbing
Yeah.
and its
Well,
integrity.
we since we've switched to shock and outrage content, do you think our engagement's been increasing?
I mean, I don't know if we've committed to shock and outrage content. We've just been talking about current events a little bit more, but then also having some issues like posting and getting things up live. So I don't think we've really got the clips and content up that yet. It'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see how like our last episode that just went up in a series over the last couple of days because I was having upload issues. It'll be interesting to see how the clips from that perform and then from this one as well. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's getting a bit meta now talking about the pod on the pod. I mean, yeah, again, just to reiterate, like kind of like I was saying, it gets really challenging. Like, for example, the one idea you brought up was like a music artist, like picking Drake over Kanye or Kendrick or whatever. Um, it's like, okay, sure, I'm now listening to that music, supporting that artist. Does that artist even live here, or are they in the States? And then what like record company are they affiliated with? And is that a Canadian record company or an American? Like, it's so complex and convoluted.
Oh, dude, absolutely. A lot of it is just for fun, but there's going to be a few of
Yeah,
them, like the Heinz ketchup versus French's ketchup. Like, that's an easy one.
so
Uh,
easy. Yeah.
French's is even like a better product in the taste comparison, I think.
Well,
So,
I was reading an interesting thing about again on saw it on TikTok. So pinch of salt. Who knows if this is even real? But some, I think it was, people were calling it Leamington, but it's spelled the same as a place that I lived in the UK, which I know is actually spelled Leamington, Ontario, I think, where they had all the farmers around there had a contract with Heinz for like growing the tomatoes, and then they had a plant there where they would like process the ketchup or whatever. And then at some point in the 80s, like Heinz pulled out completely, left the farmers high and dry, and then French's stepped in and picked that up. I don't know if you saw that as well, but
something similar.
yeah. So yeah, as far as I can tell from a little bit of things that I've read and research that I've done within this last like 24 hours of this trade war becoming a reality, like French is great. I'm all for it.
Okay. So, why don't we dive into food and drink as our first category then? Start
Sure.
us off.
Yeah.
What is in your opinion?
Proudly bottled in Canada, Bubblies. Thank
Good.
God I crush like 10 of these a day. So
So much better than what would be the American alternative to bubbly. Well, no,
it's a
dude,
PepsiCo
bubbly's
product though.
PepsiCo.
It's
Yeah, fuck.
PepsiCo.
That's definitely.
And then SodaStream was like supporting, it sent a bunch of money over like pro-Israel Zionist whatever. So I can't just SodaStream at home. What am I gonna do?
We'll have
Drink
to
water out of the tap?
become Amish or Luddites.
Yeah, I think I'd be kind of into it at this point. I really just want to have a have a garden and chickens and I don't know, try and subsist as much as I can on my own.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be
that
great.
would be very cool.
Yeah,
Canadian chickens versus American.
yeah.
Not mutants kept in cages stacked on top of each other with no room. No, that happened in Canada too.
I
Very.
was having this conversation at my book club weeks ago now, um, but it was interesting. I was having a conversation about the UK and how a lot of people complain about British food, which is fine. Okay, you can do that. But the one thing that I noticed in the a lot of time that I've spent there is you go to any random pub anywhere in the UK, the quality of the food that you're being served, that pub food, is infinitely better than what we see here. It's all like local, like the sausages would be pork from a local farmer just down the road, and they seem to have a much better connection between, like, a farm to table connection than we have here. Like, I know, being involved in restaurants and stuff, like all that stuff's just getting ordered from Cisco or what
GFS.
GFS. Like none of it is actually being, or I mean, obviously stuff is, but not as much as you would like to see is being sourced from local farmers and local stuff, which I find like so disappointing. That again, like I was saying, if anything positive can come out of this trade war, I hope it becomes a shift in terms of the way not only people are making the decisions but businesses as well. And like, no, let's build a robust um like market within Canada for providing restaurants with locally produced goods. That would be incredible.
So, I mean, I hate rules and following the rules, but does this start with legislation? Do we need to rely on bureaucracy to make this happen? Like, my initial instinct when you started talking about the quality of pub food in the UK versus here was I know that UK versus the States, specifically in terms of banned ingredients, is crazy. Like, that's why if you buy Heinz baked beans, for instance, from the UK and Heinz baked beans from USA, the English ones are so much better
Yeah,
because they aren't allowed to use the chemicals and the dyes and the weird shit that we
it's the
use.
same thing with here to a certain extent. I know I've seen some stuff about like that red dye, whatever, red 37 or whatever it is, still being allowed and stuff here when it isn't allowed in the States. But I know if you look at something like Fruit Loops, like
Yeah.
we, ours is all like natural dyes and theirs is all like trash. And I think there is an improvement in terms of those like large scale stuff, but I'm even thinking like it's going direct to farmers.
Yeah.
Um, Beyond that kind of mass produced stuff.
This is just my intuition and might not be 100% true, but it seems like in North America we had this like fast food
Hmm.
revolution that was so much bigger than anywhere else in the world. Like
Hmm.
these frozen dinners, TV dinners, fast, quick, now McDonald's everywhere.
Yeah,
Is that capitalism? Is that franchises expanding? Is that entrepreneurial expansion into new food technologies?
I think it ties into that like ridiculous hyper consumerism of the states, right? And that whole idea of fast food is a bit of a cultural thing. I think is like you're spending, if you're spending less time cooking at home or have less time cooking at home, it's not because you're out like enjoying yourself doing fun things. It's because you're stuck at work. Whereas like the culture around working and stuff, particularly in Europe, is just so different. I mean, there's obviously still, but if you're working in certain industries, there's people that are putting in super long hours and stuff. But people tend to, from my experiences at least, and somewhat anecdotally, have a much better work life balance in other places.
Oh yeah, dude, absolutely. Work is like the lowest priority,
Yeah, yeah.
as it should be. Just a means to do all the other important things in life, like have sex and dance and eat and party.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that Montreal smoked meat sandwiches are so much better than Reuben sandwiches.
Hmm.
And to level that up even further, I'm going to go Montreal smoked meat sandwich on a Montreal bagel
Hmm.
versus a Reuben on a New York bagel. We really got it. We take the dub there big time. No Reubens until the trade war's over. Montreal smoked meat only.
I can't remember the last time I had either. So,
Mm. Reuben sandwich? Mm.
yeah, or a Montreal smoked meat. I mean, with my gluten intolerance, I tend not to be drawn to sandwiches, but I know you're a pretty big sandwich guy.
Big sandwich guy. Love sandwiches. Love gluten. Also love bagels. There's a famous Montreal bagelry. Is that what you call a bagel shop? Bagelery. Bagel shop. Uh,
Bagler.
yeah, I have really poor pronunciation of the French language, but it's Saint Viateur bagels. If you see them, get them. They're really good.
I just found some gluten-free bagels at Costco, so been having those.
Nice.
Don't know what the brand is.
Okay. Any other food or drink that comes to mind there for you?
Um, I mean, I've seen some examples online. Again, it's like things that I don't necessarily consume, and we touched on the Diet Cokes, the DCs. I'm a little bit disappointed by the bubblies. Obviously, these do say proudly bottled in Canada, but they are a subsidiary of PepsiCo.
Well,
Um,
let's find out what you can drink instead. I'm going to Google it right now.
it would be like some President's Choice thing or something.
Dude, fuck President's Choice, fuck Galen Weston. That's not Canadian. I hate that family. And Loblaws.
I know, but so that's where,
Oh yeah, the question is there any Canadian products? Yeah,
yeah, like
yeah. You got to sip
yeah.
from the gutter out front.
I mean, luckily, I'm pretty confident in the quality of our
Ooh,
city water, but
this could be the answer.
what's that?
And do you remember what 22 Minutes said? If it sounds French or English, it's probably Canadian. Montelier water.
Okay. I thought you were going to say La Croix.
Oh no, no, that's like probably American.
Yeah. But the exception to the rule, I guess.
Yeah, Montelier. Montelier sparkling water. Okay, cool. And now I'm gonna do Canadian cola brand.
Yeah, I saw this was what somebody listed like Canada Dry, and they're like, well, that's just a Coke product. Like that it just says Canada in the name.
Yeah, not looking good.
Yeah.
You'll have to go for someone like craft and local,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the brewery near us here, Spinnakers, makes pretty good pops. Phillips does too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I haven't been having much pop, just been drinking the sparkling waters,
I
but
need the sugar-free alternative.
yeah.
Okay, let's move on to our next category, entertainment. So it
Mm.
could be movies, shows, music, could be actors, actresses. They're all actors, musicians.
Hmm. Yeah, good one. Again, like I mentioned before, it's tough to like. Yeah, I can say Jim Carrey's better than Will Ferrell or whatever, but
Do you feel that? Because I feel that. I think that one's true.
it is true, 100% true. But like, if I'm going then consume a Jim Carrey movie instead, is that having a real world benefit to Canada over the U.S.? That's a gray area. But as a fun conversation topic, sure, Jim Carrey over Will Ferrell.
Yeah, dude. I don't want any residuals of fucking Elf going to the States. I'm going to make sure the residuals of How the Grinch Stole Christmas is going to come to Canada.
Yeah, yeah. I like the idea because obviously being in the Okanagan, there's like a growing and like pretty like well established like movie scene, I guess. They seem to mostly make those kind of lame like Hallmark movies though, but that's cool. That I like that there is a local economy for movies, thinking on that category.
Hmm.
There was also, you will notice a lot of the times if you're watching shows that are supposed to be set in Seattle, they'll actually be filmed in Vancouver or Victoria.
Yeah.
That great show on Netflix, I think it was Made. Did you ever watch that?
Yeah, yeah. There were shots on the ferry.
Yeah, and in Fernwood.
Oh, wow. Cool, cool.
I remember watching it because there's one scene where she's going around trying to desperately try and find a job, and I know it was like right on Fernwood, and it's like, why should she just go into the Fernwood Inn and get a serving job? She's like,
Yeah, yeah,
good looking girl, seems smart. Like, why is she trying to be a maid? Like, go be a server. Fernwood Inn's right there.
yeah, yeah. That is funny.
But yeah, then what else was on there? Musicians. I mean, like I said, I've been trying to only consume media from like the 90s or like pre-social media days just for my sanity and like a weird little quirky thing. But I do love, if you're into like more indie rock kind of stuff, big fan of Peach Pit, band out of Vancouver. We saw them at Philip's Backyard like whatever 2 years ago or something.
Yeah.
Um, highly recommend listening to their music.
Tragically hip, iconic. If
So iconic.
somebody's held at gunpoint to name a Canadian band, if they're older than 20, they might pick the Tragically Hip. Dude, amazing. I'm so fortunate to have seen those guys play a few times, and everyone should go watch the documentary. They've got such a cool, crazy story. Also, really interesting hearing about how they couldn't quite break into the States. They did at the end of their career, but it wasn't
Mhm.
super easy. Like they would sell out stadiums and have insane showings in Canada, and then not so much in the States. But they were at Woodstock '99.
Oh yeah, that
Yeah, lots of
that
Canadian flags
monstrosity.
in the background and stuff like
That's an
that.
interesting documentary
Oh
to
my
go on
god,
a
big
tangent, but
I'll take Alanis Morissette over Cheryl Crow.
mhm, that's a good one.
Ironic. You ought to know. Bangers.
What else? TV shows? Schitt's Creek, fantastic, absolutely stunning. That show is flawless.
It is super funny.
Have you watched it all the way through?
Not all the way through.
Yeah,
Layla is obsessed with it, and she watches it, repeat watches it as a comfort show every once in a while. So I tune in, and
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
do love Eugene Levy
yeah. Dan Levy.
and Dan Levy.
Yeah. Um,
Reminds me of Much Music. Him and Jesse on the Hills after show.
again, things that were like slightly too young for me.
Dude,
But
the Hills, I think, was more for you than for me. That was
yeah, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just wasn't into
yeah. Mhm.
it. Yeah, I'm not much of a reality TV guy.
Oh no, I hate reality TV now, but it was the thing to watch.
Except for actually a guilty pleasure is those like random like dating shows, like Love is Blind and stuff.
Mhm.
Um, Sign me up, man. It's so
No,
funny. The best
dude.
one's actually Love on the Spectrum, though. That's a good watch.
I would not include that with the other ones. That
It's very
is,
different. Yeah,
it warms your soul. It's
yeah, yeah.
nice. The other things are fucking toxic, and I just absorb the drama through the TV screen, and it just makes me sick.
I'm just in it for the good stories.
Below Deck, and like
Yeah, I don't
there's
watch
all
that
these catty ones, or
one.
Love is Blind. Love is not blind.
Yeah.
People are shallow pigs.
Yeah. I mean, you do see that reflected within the show too. Like
Yeah.
typically you can tell a couple that couple up blind, but then do also have like good chemistry
Yeah.
will are the ones that tend to last.
Mhm.
Whereas if they don't have good chemistry in real life, then it tends to fall apart. So I think the show's proving itself wrong, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude. Big time.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the point. Confirmation bias.
Yeah, maybe.
Uh,
What other categories we got?
what do we got here? Companies, just overall.
Ooh, again, like I was saying, that's that really tricky thing to understand if there's not some overarching
Big time.
evil empire south of the border that owns it.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially when you think about the big stuff.
Could you do landmarks or destination travel destinations?
Excuse me. Travel destinations for sure is a great one. As I said, I saw that little thing on Reddit earlier where people were choosing different
Yeah.
what am I inhaling here? People are choosing different travel destinations away from the States and wanting to come support Canada. Obviously, I live in Kelowna in the beautiful Okanagan Valley, known for its hot summers, wine region, lots of great wine tasting. If you're coming in the winter, great ski resorts if you want to do those kind of winter sports. Lots of great outdoor stuff, hiking, cycling, whatever. Very good place to visit. I think more so in the summer, but absolutely fantastic. Then here on Vancouver Island is like my favorite place in the whole world. Like incredible temperate rainforests, incredible beaches, um, uh, like beautiful, beautiful, untouched nature. I'll never forget after going to Southeast Asia in 2015 and obviously going to some really beautiful beaches and amazing, outstanding places, but they're just so packed full of people. And then coming home and going up to, I think I went to Tofino shortly afterwards or something, and just being like, wow, if this was in any other place in the world, there would be thousands and thousands and thousands of people here to witness this, but there's like nobody. You have the beach to yourself.
Mhm.
Obviously, it's not as hot, but there are incredible places to visit. I think the only thing a challenge there is the cost. Here, it's the cost to do these things here is a bit more expensive, but
Yeah.
um, there's ways to do things more affordably.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
camp in Canada, that's the way you should see it, in my
In the
opinion.
summer. Yeah, we got a few
Yeah,
months a year here where you can sleep
winter's
outside.
different for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, it's so crazy to see a map showing where our population is situated, proximal to the 49th parallel, and that's where we all are. We're
Yeah.
within like a very, very small kilometer range across that border, and then nowhere else in the second largest country in the fucking world.
Yeah,
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like 90% of our population lives
yeah.
within like 5 kilometers of the US border or something.
Yeah, I think it's 8,800 kilometer long border that we
Yeah,
share.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a that's a decent distance.
it's crazy. But yeah, in terms of like places to visit,
I'll go
must be great.
Banff over Yosemite.
Yeah,
Um, I'll go, like you said, Tofino, Long Beach over the Oregon coast.
Yeah.
The Canadian side of the Niagara Falls versus the American side is the
Oh,
craziest thing.
everybody knows that's better.
That's a
Yeah.
freaking no brainer. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
But even Niagara, in terms of like you want to have fun, almost like Little Vegas style,
I
like
hate the Little Vegas part, but the wine country within half an hour from there is
yeah,
cool.
but as an alternative to Vegas, if you really wanted to go to Vegas, maybe go to Niagara instead. I don't know. It's
God,
a stretch,
God,
but
dude. Oh my God. Yeah. And I guess on the American side, they've got like the Finger Lakes, which has got a bit of a wine region, but honestly pales in comparison to that.
I haven't been, so I can't comment on the wine region. But yeah, obviously it sounds great. I would rather people come to the Okanagan because I know we're desperate for tourists. But
Mhm.
um,
There's a situation where you can have a more affordable wine tour, Okanagan instead of Napa.
oh yeah, by
Yeah,
far.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
typically most places you can probably do a wine tasting for free. You're maybe paying like 10 or 15 bucks at most places.
Hmm.
And yeah, you maybe you buy a bottle and then the fee gets waived or whatever. That's still a thing. But yeah, where else? You mentioned Banff. That's a good one. I would say in terms of golf destinations, very good. Talk about like Cabot Links and
Yeah,
stuff.
that's what I was thinking of.
Very, very good place to go. Again, with the Okanagan, if you're a golfer, some great golf courses there too. Great golf courses here. Um, so if you're looking for a golf trip, yeah.
Along the golf train, sports and athletes.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I like Christine Sinclair over Megan Rapinoe.
Oh, easy.
Footy stars. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like Sinclair. Isn't there some crazy stat that she's a top goal scorer in her career amongst like a lot of men and women's sports?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just because she's played so long, basically.
Yeah.
She's
I think she
great.
is retired now though.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think
Retired
she's
last year.
yeah, she
But
officially
so did
retired.
Megan Rapinoe after the
Yeah, yeah,
Olympics.
yeah, yeah. Um, that's a great one. Who else? I was trying to think. I haven't really been paying that close attention to professional golf, to be honest, so I don't know who our greatest Canadian hope is on the links right now, but
Has there been anyone since Mike Weir?
not to that success level, I don't think.
No.
Yeah. But there's been some decent guys out there. I think in the President's Cup there were a few Canadians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I wasn't super familiar.
Yeah, we used to be able to say hockey all the time, but our juniors have kind of sucked these last 2 years.
Yeah. Alfonso Davies and Jonathan David, soccer players.
Yep.
Very good.
Canadian curling teams,
Hmm.
curling in general for this country on
Yeah.
the world stage.
Curling's fun, man. It's fun to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one thing where I find like curling and beer drinking go hand in hand, and
Yeah.
without it is I'm less interested.
I like I can get down with the like relaxed nature of it. It feels like very maybe because it's like a winter thing, but whenever I think of curling, I think of being like cozy and just like chill and not worrying about time passing.
Hmm.
Yeah, but maybe that's just a situational thing.
Yeah, when I think of curling, I think of the craft brewery curling league that I participated in when I was a beer rep for Lighthouse.
Yeah, I played one game with you.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
first
that,
time ever.
yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah,
But it was an excuse to get blind drunk on a work night, and
yeah.
can't do that anymore. Policies and systems.
Okay, well, give me an example.
I'll give you an example. It's really self serving. In this great country called Canada,
Yeah.
cannabis is legalized federally all across the whole board.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
And
yeah,
there's
yeah,
jabronis down below, kind
yeah,
of state by state, and there's still people incarcerated for minor cannabis possession charges. And yeah,
yeah. I mean, I am just very much a big fan of this country that we live in and the way that it's set up. I'm so glad we don't have to deal with that bullshit that they have down south.
dude. Yeah, this is the easiest category, like free healthcare,
Yeah, totally.
freedom of autonomy over our bodily choices. So another,
Multi-party political system. That's great.
well, yeah, but it's kind of like a bit of a farce.
In what way?
They can fit into either two categories. Are multi parties for the most part.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
we gain a benefit, I think, of more. niche issues, you could say, being actually represented better within Parliament because of, say, like the coalition currently between the NDP and the Liberals. So, like, Jagmeet's got a bit more sway over what the Liberals do right now. So, some of those more NDP policies have a chance of succeeding. Whereas before, what you end up with in the States, right, is like kind of everything just becomes a whole lot more centrist.
Yep. But what about the fact that sometimes two liberal leaning parties can cannibalize each other's votes and let the enemies win?
That's where, in terms of our actual electoral system, like the multi-party system is good, but first past the post is not great.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I would rather see some proportional representation style where you have like a ranked ballot or something. That
Mhm.
would solve that problem.
Okay.
And JT did say that was the main thing he regrets from his time as prime minister, was never putting in electoral reform, which I agree with. He should be
Yeah.
feeling bad about that.
All right, my dude, can we please fucking get this thing over with? We just took an intermission there because our wide angle third camera had a bit of a breakdown and then spent like a frustrating, what seemed like an eternity trying to fix it and jerry rig this setup here. And tensions are high, energy is low. But yeah, I am here in the flesh with my bestie. Doesn't happen all that often. I should reframe and savor the moment. Practice what we preach.
Totally. Oh man, that was funny. Yeah, things definitely haven't gone exactly as planned today,
But we're
we
recording
but
together in
but we did it.
person.
Yeah.
You're right over there. I can reach out and touch you. So yeah, we're just gonna wrap things up. That was fun. Obviously, just for fun because it's a no-brainer. If anyone were to ask to compare anything between Canadians and Americans, obviously we're gonna win. Um, but that was fun.
Mhm. It was fun.
We
I mean,
will.
it's I think it's nice to talk about what's kind of on everybody's mind right now. Um, so
It's about the only kind of war that we would win against them, but the trade war we will win.
let's just hope it doesn't lead to a real one.
Yeah, definitely. Um, Weekly affirmations. How did you do on your goal? My
Um,
goal was to kick your ass at golf, and I did not achieve that. Nowhere close. But I'm grateful that you gave me some good things to work on. And come summer golf trip.
yeah, that's the thing. I think you're sitting at a key point right now. I think it would be easy to get a little bit frustrated and demoralized, but that's why golf is such a great like mental game, and that I know you'll persevere. And I think, yeah, being here in person and being able to like work on some stuff, we can keep working on them together from afar. You'll start to see a big improvement.
Mhm. Thanks,
Yeah,
man.
there's some key things there. I think if you just keep working away at them, they'll start to feel more normal, and things will improve from there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, dude.
Mine was movement, which I said was a bit of a cherry picked one because I knew we were going to golf a little bit, and then we didn't end up golfing as much as we had planned. But even just being here, and instead of having the nice backyard to just let Lou out to go do his business and roam around, I had to take him for a walk, and it reinvigorated me. I enjoyed those little walks around the block there in James Bay. It was um, it was really nice. It's nice to get out of the house even when the weather's not great. Unfortunately, now I'm heading back to Kelowna where we're getting like negative double digits coming up here for like at least a week straight. So that's going to be difficult to motivate myself to at least get outside of the house to move. But I think, yeah, just doing a little bit more here has put me in a good place to keep that momentum going and take some of the things I learned from maybe even like your like vacation workout thing and put those in place at home, like body weight stuff.
Mhm.
I can do that. So
Yeah, I'm going to hold you accountable to
yeah.
that. Definitely. You can do those body weight workouts when you get home.
Hmm.
We got some good movement in this trip. We had one round of 18 in some pretty waney
Weenie.
weather,
Weenie
waney
weather.
weather. And we went to the driving range and we went to the simulator.
Yeah.
And yeah, and you didn't, but I had a cup game. Wild Hogs
Right.
won in penalties, so I had 90 minutes of running around.
I forgot that you had that in there in the mix too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Uh,
Fine. So it's again a bit of a cherry picked one, but I haven't done it yet. I've been saving it for the right moment, and now, especially this week, being apart, my wife Sarah being in Mexico, one of those things like absence makes the heart grow fonder, and I always very much appreciate everything that like her support for me and everything that we do for each other, and just our life together. But obviously, yeah, being apart brings a different level of gratitude for just having that like built-in best friend that you get to do life with, and so yeah, very much appreciate Sarah.
so cute. Amazing. I love it. And yeah, you guys are perfect for each other. I really like that built-in birth best friend comment. I feel the same way about my gal. That's cool.
Dude, it's just the best. It's so
Yeah.
funny. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you got to be careful not to slip into like a bit of like a isolation of just knowing like, oh, well, I can go hang out with my best friend at home because we live together and we're married and like that's great. It it's still good. And like even last night hanging out with the boys is a good reminder that no, you still got to get out of the house and like go do stuff with other people. But it is
Absolutely.
very, very nice to have that at home, just like your favorite person. It's great.
Absolutely. Like your phone is resting on the bong that Layla and I pass back and forth. When you've got, when you've got that kind of commonality and comfort in home, how do you force yourself to ever leave? But yeah, you make a good point. We still got to do that.
Yeah,
Community. It's what
yeah,
important.
for sure, man.
Have I used my friends before?
I don't think so.
We've got a really special friend group, really communicative,
Yeah.
emotionally mature young men. I'm definitely grateful for them. Yeah, when we're going through highs and lows, we support each other, peaks and valleys. Got one buddy right now who's really going through it with his business, and yeah, it's hard seeing him so down in the dumps, but I hope our hangout lifted his spirits even just a tiny bit last night.
For sure, man. It really made me think like it's the biggest thing I miss, which is saying a lot. The biggest thing I miss about moving away from Victoria is our friend group because I do love it here. But the guys are just so great, as you say, like so emotionally mature and communicative. It's so nice to have that support network. I hope that our buddy that you're referring to, like, yeah, got the benefit of hanging out with us last night. I know when I was in my deepest, darkest times, I didn't necessarily have that same network of people around me. Obviously, I had my close family, but no real like close friends to the level of you guys in my town when I was in those depths, and hopefully, just that bit of a hang can help get him through a
Mhm.
tricky couple of weeks here. And I mean, we all know he's going to be better off in the end. He's an absolute rock star. So
Yeah, big
yeah.
time. This too shall pass.
Hmm.
Apparently, that is Persian in origin.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Cool.
Rumi. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, okay, cool. Delight.
Hmm.
Uh, have you ever had that sensation, typically, or not sensation, phenomenon, in the morning after you've busted a load where you go and take a leak and it splits streams and you like make a mess?
I wasn't sure where you were going for a second. Yeah, I know the
Yeah,
experience.
the
Yeah,
phenomenon of the split stream, the
yeah,
urine coming out in two tracks, and
yeah.
sometimes, especially if you're really bursting and you don't expect that, and you're like, one track just goes out and makes a little bowl. But I just delighted in the memory that it provided me of my morning delight that was the root cause of the phenomenon to begin with.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Mm.
That was a really weird way to bring that up.
Well, I think that things like that are a universally shared experience, but one that no one would talk about.
Totally. Nobody. Yeah.
Which is kind of funny.
What?
What would be another situation of that? Like, when are you ever going to say, you know, when you previously ejaculated that day and the findings are the tip of your urethra, so you go and urinate and it causes a diverging of the urine stream. It's
I'm hating this right now. There's a reason why people don't talk about these things. It's
uh,
cringy.
gotcha.
No, that's funny. I commend your bravery for talking about that on a thing that will end up on the internet. Um, that's so funny. No, mine was a hell of a lot more PG, but I really thoroughly enjoyed our range session with the like biggest, fluffiest chunks of snow falling. That
Mhm.
was cool. I can say I've never experienced like hitting a golf club in the snow before, and that was such a fun way to, I mean, as I've talked about before, like be in the moment. Like it was just another, you're already mostly in the moment when you're at the range anyway, but then that whole situation to have the beautiful falling snow and just like striping irons out into the ether. It was like so fun.
You're right, dude. That was an absolute delight.
Yeah.
And after being so gutted over the tea time getting canceled that morning, it was a nice way to still scratch that golf itch.
And plus we got a really tasty lunch out of it too after the fact, that nice ramen place you took me to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Arashi ramen, ramen arashi in Victoria.
Mm-hmm. Highly recommend. So that was my moment of delight. How about you?
Um,
Or was that were you just talking about your delight? I'm confused now.
oh gosh. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's my moment of delight.
Just double down.
Double down.
Grateful. No, you were grateful for your friends, and that was your okay. I'm
Yeah,
getting mixed up now.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
that's funny. So what was the next? Do you want to do that for mood booster as well?
No. Mood booster, mood booster, mood booster. What's yours?
I mean, again, kind of related to like what you're bringing up, moments of gratitude, our friends or whatever. But as I say, I don't get it often living in Kelowna, a 4 hour drive and a ferry ride away. But yeah, getting to hang out with some of the boys was just so much fun. They bring me so much joy and happiness. They're like just such a happy-go-lucky group of guys. Dylan's just like I don't see him often, but my God, that guy is absolutely hilarious.
It's funny.
Just such a character.
Yeah.
Um,
He was striping it pretty well for such a chaotic approach to hitting the ball.
totally, yeah, he played great. Yeah, I only there was one shot difference between us in the end,
Yeah,
which was crazy.
yeah.
Um, but yeah,
But
I had so much fun. That 100% boosts my mood being with those guys. Especially even thinking back to that round that we had at where was it? Was it Highland Pacific that we played with Armand and Mike last
yep.
time we were here? I walked away from that experience of playing. We just play nine or did we play 18?
Just
We
nine.
played nine, and they were just like having so much fun and laughing and having such a great time. Like I walked out of that and was like, wow, I fucking missed that so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's my mood booster,
That's a good
hanging
one.
with the boys.
We are gonna have a big summer of golf this summer, I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
Everyone's just gaining interest and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I'll have to plan my trips a little bit, and then hopefully we can coordinate things a little bit more than just last minute and secure some of the other boys to join us on some of our adventures, and that would be so much fun.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Last but not least, goal for this next week coming up.
Next week, I want to get a more permanent and flawless recording studio set up and something that can be fixed. Like, it's making me dread the exercise, and it's making the exercise less efficient and just causing all sorts of problems by setting things up from scratch every week. So
Yeah. This one was difficult too because we obviously had attempted to do the widescreen to capture both of us, and that was just challenging with the equipment we have, and obviously not having an endless budget to just devote to the podcast.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, it would be nice. I also would love to have a more permanent setup, but it's it's not too bad.
no.
Yeah, I'm slowly like chipping away at some of the things that are a little bit more clunky to get them a bit better. But
How about yours? Your goal?
my goal is I've got the requirement to be a bit more productive over the next week. I've got a job interview on Friday that I am looking forward to, and I want to put some time and effort and research and planning into it. I really want to blow them away, so going to do that. I've also been picking up like a little bit of work on the side that I need to complete and get done. So um, I also know I just like Sarah's coming home a day or two after I get home. I want the place to be like nice and clean and set her up on a nice trajectory coming back from vacation and then heading immediately back into work.
Mhm.
I know that can be kind of challenging and then like derail all that progress that you make and like relaxation and time away and the stress of getting back into it. So, um, yeah, productivity is going to be my key focus for the week. Just try and put my best foot forward and achieve some things.
Good, man.
Yeah,
That's great. Well, I'm grateful for the fact that I got to spend these last 3 or 4 days with you and that you made it down here, especially in winter. Not normally when you make your trips to Vic, so that was great.
totally. I mean, the drive down was easy, but the drive home might be a little bit more sketchy after a bit of snow that we got. But I'm not in any rush. Going to take it easy. I got
Yeah.
my ferry all bought and paid for tomorrow, so I can just take my time, even go the low road if necessary, and cruise through Manning Park or something might be nice.
Hmm.
I haven't taken any photos on this trip, so maybe I could stop and get some photos on the way.
Yeah. Get us both in the same. There, that's what I was trying to do. That's what I was trying to do the whole time. There we go. There's the behind the scenes. Well, buddy, that was awesome. Let's do more of these in person and level up next time.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get nice and organized for our golf trips.
XOXO.
Gossip Girl.